I think this is about as good as I'm going to get the lighting for now. So we can get started. Alright, so I am not going to drop the bottom glove box. To install the RSNav, you do have to drop the glove box. It takes time. That's where the CAN bus inline plugs in, as I mentioned in my other video. When I do my 12-inch install, probably in September or whatever after they deliver it, I'll redo that and I'll film it at that time. But as for the normal install, or getting a little bit more familiar with the normal install, I'll go and I'm going to disconnect my current RSNav. This. So the screen comes right off. It's a 10-inch screen. You can see it has the connectors in the back like I showed in my other video. It's the exact same connectors, although this one is a slightly newer version. And you see the model back here that I have. I am going to put that up here for now. So the first thing you're going to notice is, so here's the wiring. We'll talk more about that in a little while. But you're going to notice that normally your MMI would be here. This has this fascia that is provided by RSNav with the kit. So it simply sits on top of it. It is plastic. It's an ABS plastic fascia normally. I did wrap it, but it includes relocating your hazards over here from there. So taking this off is real simple. It's got 3 screws. I think I only have 2 of them in because I think I lost or stripped one. It's sort of deep in there, so you need a screwdriver that's pretty thin. Yeah, that's the one that's not in there. They're not the strongest screws, so be careful with the pressure. You'll notice there is a screw hole here and here. You can screw down and sort of mount the back with these liftable flaps if you want. A lot of people do it. I tend to take my stuff on and off a lot for different upgrades or whatever else, so I have not done that for that reason. Oh, sorry, excuse me. It's actually 4 screws. I forgot the bottom one. So once that is undone, you can see this plugs right in and relocates your flashers, which you'll see is something that you can unplug. But this is what the plastic bezel that they send you looks like. You can see that the screen slides right onto this here when you install it. Behind that, you've got another plastic bezel. Now, I want to say that I've seen a couple of videos where people say you can do this without pulling off the bigger bezel. You can see my old hazards are here. But I'm not a big believer in that. I actually think that that's sort of A, it's a pain in the ass, and B, I want to pull this whole bezel off for other reasons. So I'm going to pull this off also, this plastic part of my trim. Again, this is pretty easy. Plastic trim tools, if you're ever doing anything like this, having a good set of plastic trim tools is very helpful. I say a good set, but truthfully I've got like 2 sets and I mix and match in between them because I've yet to find a set that has that it only has the ones I find particularly helpful. Seems to be that one set has some sizes I really like and the other set has other sizes and shapes I really like, so you know, each their own. But I got mine on eBay. I mean, not eBay, on Amazon actually. They're easy to get a hold of. They are well worth it if you're going to be pulling off your trim. Even if you just buy one good kit, one decent kit, it's a lot better than using a screwdriver and, you know, working your way around it just in case, because the last thing you want to do is crack these things. They are expensive and hard to replace. Again, mine is wrapped. It's been off before. If you're pulling yours off for the first time, this trim will be harder to pull the first time. That I can pretty much guarantee you. I happen to have these paddle shift extenders, which require a little bit more angling when you pull out your front bezel, your dash bezel. So here again, this is it. Mine's wrapped, which actually needs to be re-wrapped. So now again, we're starting to get to the point where this just needs to come off, but you can see better that I've got some torque screws that I need to pull out here, here, and here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you'll notice immediately there's no, well, you probably can see, I don't know how good this is, you can't see the screen behind it because the screen is out. The screen is fully removed as part of the install for the RSNav, and then you're replacing this. I don't know if it would fit behind it or not. I'd never try it. It probably wouldn't, but it'd be too easy. It'd be hard to route the wires around it and all that kind of stuff. You can probably see, that's a good note. I happen to have my whole dash console apart because I'm doing some other upgrades. Car's pretty much in pieces right now anyways. So you don't have to pull this when you pull the bezel out or anything. When you install your RSNav for the first time, I would highly recommend pulling as much of the center console as you can. I think I only pulled the climate controls in the center just like this. I think I left this in, the drive select stuff and the multimedia. The reason why is that routing the cables, German engineering, everything's tight. Routing the cables is a pain in the neck. So the more you have so that you can reach and stuff and fish behind, it's going to be tight no matter what, but it makes it a little bit easier. So next is to remove these torque wrenches here. So now we got to pull these out. Oh no, sorry. T20, I think. Yep, T20 screwdriver for these. I put mine in too tight. So we pull these 4 out. This is what happens when you film on a day that's way too hot and you get sweaty. And don't do what I just did. Don't drop it. So I'll have to find it later. So you can see here's the plug for where the wiring harness, factory wiring harness, goes to this relocated hazard plug. This one's a little tricky to get. So I get a lot of questions about quality. This is probably a good time to bring it up. Overall, I've had a number of different Android units from different manufacturers over the years. I had one in my B7. I had one in the Infiniti I drove before that. I had one back in the day when I built my 180SX. So I've seen a lot of these things come in. So I want to preference the fact that I think that the RSNav is a pretty darn good level of quality. Probably the best of all the China-based Android units, sort of non-traditional Android units that I've used. Now, that said, it is a China-based, non-traditional Android unit. It's not like installing a Kenwood or something like that. So some of the connectors are a little tricky. They can, they can be a little difficult at first. But I think the build quality is very good, and I think their support in general, especially when Daniel's not sick or something, is excellent. He's been fantastic. So I would say they're good. But that said, it is what it is. And so the instructions are not always that great. As many of you have commented to me when trying to research it or after you've bought it, the instructions are not awesome. Some things just are flat hard to find in general. There is some stuff in the wiki. There's a lot of stuff in his videos. But yeah, it is what it is. So now I've pulled off that metal part. The metal, again, this is the metal bracket that they send you that sort of replaces the screen, the MMI screen, when you pull the MMI screen. And then what you've got left is a combination of different wiring harnesses, right? You've got this one, which this white one is the main RSNav wiring harness. This one, which is a adapter for the line out, which is how you get the audio into the main system. This is your adapter for the hazards. Then this is the power. This is the antenna. I believe this is the GPS antenna for the RSNav. Oh, here's the GPS antenna. Here's the regular antenna. I thought it was power. Might be. I'd have to double check the manual. So point is, you've got these different connectors. They all match up. There are ones that you don't necessarily use. This black one, I want to say, is a factory connector that you don't use. And then there's a bunch of other connectors for different things like audio in and audio out and all that kind of stuff. So that's what you got left. That's what it looks like without the MMI in. And then you got to fish the cables around and everything that's needed and adjust everything. So that's what it looks like behind the scene. Alright, so for the CAN bus in my Audi RSNav, this is where the tap-in is. So there's a OEM cable that you're tapping right into. You're removing it from there. It goes in line. So the OEM plug goes into the cable they give you, and then the cable they give you goes into the OEM position. And that's where you tap off for the CAN bus for the RSNav. Again, you do have to drop the dash as I did here. It makes it a little bit easier also to wire stuff into the main console, which is what I'm doing anyways. I will say that that CAN bus wire is a pain in the neck to wire in. Takes time to do and to get around the thing. So the first time, if you're having errors that you can't clear on your MMI, or the RSNav is not allowing you to use the console buttons and the integrated buttons, the first thing to do is to check this connection. Again, I do think the quality is good for RSNav, especially compared to what it is. But if that is not perfectly tight and in there, then that's what's going to cause some of those problems. So I had that one of the first times I installed it. I just had to drop it again, make sure it was in there nice and solid, then everything cleared and worked fine.